How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? And welcome back to another episode of the Sick Podcast. I believe we are one episode away from 30. This one is episode 29. We got quite a few things to talk about. There's a couple of trades that happened. Marner's injured. Before I get into any of that, producer, roll the tape.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With that Leafs fan.
They score! They score! Holy mackerel, they score! Morgan Riley! Mo Riley! The Leafs have won it! They're going to the second round! Do you believe this? Holy mackerel!
The sickest Toronto Maple Leafs podcast. It's gonna be sick.
So, welcome back. Hope you guys are doing well. This morning, I was prepared, and then I wasn't. I had my alarm set, 7:30, was about to be ahead of the day. Then I'm like, let me sleep in a little bit, and that was probably the worst decision. For me, a person who always says the Leafs need to start on time, I absolutely didn't start on time today, and it's probably going to affect the entire day. And it's funny because the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Montreal Canadiens, although we got the win, completely didn't start on time. That was I was at that game. And right before the game, it was announced that Mitch Marner was not going to be playing. And I was very sad because tickets to Leafs and Habs games, whoever they're playing against, especially when they're playing against each other, are not cheap for the average Joe like myself and every lot of other normal people. I'll call them not non-business people. They're expensive. So you would like for the game to count. You would like to watch your favorite player when you're going there. Mitch Marner was announced before the game that he was not going to be a part of that game. And this is going to tie into things I have been saying all season. Everyone knows that Austin Matthews is the machine of this team. He scores at will. He scores from anywhere. He scores from any way possible. Mitch Marner is by far the most important piece to this team. Now, I'm not saying he is the best player on this team. What I'm saying is Marner creates everything that happens on this team. He is the one he's the playmaker. He starts everything. He is the heart of this team, I believe, at least. And we saw it in the game against the Montreal Canadiens. Well, I was there. Yikes. Without Marner, it's really concerning. It's really... A lot of people are going to go and say that Mitch Marner is overpaid, which I honestly don't understand how. Without him on the ice, I was watching and I'm like, we cannot... First of all, it completely demolished all of the chemistry on every single line. It was just... And he's not going to be playing tomorrow night, I think. Tomorrow night against the Flyers. He won't be there. I've been saying it to all of those that want to trade Marner, to all the people that don't like the guy, love him or hate him. The Toronto Maple Leafs absolutely need Mitch Marner. He kills penalties. He sets up crazy plays. He creates something out of absolutely nothing. And he can score goals too sometimes. And I don't know, just watching this game. Look, the truth is, Montreal's a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city. And especially if you're young, there is a lot of different parties going on. There's a lot of clubs. There's a lot of places to go out. And my personal opinion, especially considering this game was on Saturday night and the boys probably flew in the night before, I really think they took advantage of being in Montreal. And I'm going to let it slide for that reason, into assuming that maybe that's why they didn't play great, because, they had a case of Montreal and that they went out the night before. Because Matthews, oh boy. Look, I love the guy. That was a really bad game. That was a really bad game. Um, I was there with my girlfriend, and she was like, "I haven't seen Matthews on the ice," and I'm like, "Babe, he's been on the ice for 2 minutes straight." Like she had no idea where he was because she's like a she's a hockey fan because I'm a hockey fan. You know what I mean? So like she'll watch it, she'll enjoy it, but she doesn't know a whole lot about it. I'll give her credit where credit's due. She does recognize her team, so shout out to her for that. But she's not like as attentive to detail as someone like me, like who really cares about like the fourth line and the third line and the penalty kill and the breakouts and stuff like that's things I'm looking at. She's kind of just like watching the game to watch the game. And she literally looked at me. She's like, I haven't seen Matthews. And I'm like, he literally was on the ice for the last 2 minutes. And the point I'm trying to make is that he was completely not noticeable. And look, like I said, he's had a cold streak now. He has, I think he has 2 goals in his last 9 games. Now, you can look at it one of two ways. You can say, holy shit, he is not playing great. He can't find the back of the net. It's not going his way. Very streaky, yada, yada. Or you can look at the fact that Austin Matthews has only 2 goals in his last 9 games and is still leading the NHL in goals by nearly 10. That's insane. It's so insane. It's so insane. 70's looking like a lot more of a challenge now, so he'll definitely need to pick it up. But yeah, to encapsulate the Montreal game that the Leafs had, that was a game where the Habs actually, you know what? I'm going to give a shout out to the producer because he said it best. That was a win-win for both teams. The Habs, who aren't looking to win games this year, played better than the Leafs and lost. And the Toronto Maple Leafs, who played worse than the Habs, won. So it's the case where the Leafs needed the points and the Habs probably don't want points because at this point they're not making the playoffs. They want to finish as low as possible in the standings to get the best shot at the lottery for the draft. And so it was a win-win in that sense. I'm going to call it a write-off, like I said, for the reason that I just don't think the boys definitely went out. Look, like that's the conclusion I'm going to tell myself. Maybe it'll probably make me sleep better at night. They got the 2 points. That's at the end of the day all that matters. They found a way to win in a game that they just really really didn't show up to. So they got the 2 points. It's very important for that. I've calculated it due to the results of last night for the Leafs to clinch a playoff spot because I'm very pessimistic, I assume that every team below us is going to win their last 17, 18 games, assuming they win all of their games. All the teams below us, assuming they win all of their games, the Leafs need to go 12-6 to guarantee their spot. And that's if every other team wins. And like, it's not going to happen because the Wings have literally lost like 6 games in a row in regulation and other teams have games in hand. So the Leafs are going to make the playoffs unless the sky starts falling, which honestly, I mean, it's the Leafs. Anything can happen. The Toronto Maple Leafs are probably going to end up facing the Boston Bruins in the playoffs. And here is going to be probably a very wild take, and a lot of people are going to think I'm absolutely delusional, but I just want you to hear me out from the beginning and end of my point. The Toronto Maple Leafs are likely going to face the Boston Bruins in the first round. Now, you can look at this one of two ways. You can look at this by saying, holy shit, there's no point of watching. We're playing the Bruins. It's not going to end well. We'll make it a series, and we're going to lose in 7. Or you can look at it how I'm going to choose to look at this. I want the Bruins. And this might be a really funny clip down the line, or it might just be one of the best. A lot of fans last year were saying, we want Florida. I never said that once. I wanted the Boston Bruins, and I'll tell you why. The Boston Bruins, to me, are like the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Washington Capitals. The Washington Capitals were never able to win a single thing until they beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. The one year that the Washington Capitals beat the Pittsburgh Penguins and got through them, they went on to win the Stanley Cup. The Toronto Maple Leafs have lost. They lost in 2013, they lost in 2017, and in 2018 in the exact same fashion, somewhat. Well, in Game 7 by nearly a goal. All of those series were decided in Game 7 in either the third period or in overtime. All of them. Every single one of those games. And the point is, it was always close. Whoever had the better team, whoever had the better goaltending, whoever had this, whoever had home ice, yada, 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 it always came down to either the third period or overtime of Game 7, which means it could have gone either way every single time. Now, that's obviously going to play a factor in the mental game of the team. And what's crazy is, first of all, not a single one of these players is still, I want to say maybe Morgan Riley. Other than that, there's not a single player on this team still remaining from the 2013 series. Not a single one. And if we play the Bruins, I guarantee you, every single Leafs fan, every single hockey fan, that's still what's going to be playing at the back of their head. The series we blew against them, the times we could have never got it done, the times where we had it laid out for us on a silver platter, where we couldn't get it done against the Boston Bruins, and the demon was never slayed. Now, there's one of two things that can happen if we play the Bruins. Number one, we can win. Number two, we can lose. The reason I want the Boston Bruins is for this. I don't think the Leafs will ever have a chance at winning the Stanley Cup if they do not shatter the demon of the Boston Bruins. And if they can't beat the Boston Bruins this season, then you were never supposed to be there in the first place. That's how I look at that. I look at it as, why waste my time? And we can play any other team. Because I truly believe, and I've been saying this for a few years now, I truly believe that the biggest demon the Leafs fight every single day when it comes to the playoffs is themselves. And if there is a single opponent that is a large portion of this self-destruction, it's the Boston Bruins. They've had our number. They've beat us every single time we've matched up against them, but it was always close. But we're never going to remember that. We are only going to remember the end result, which was the Bruins beat the Leafs, and the Bruins beat the Leafs, and the Bruins beat the Leafs. That's all anyone's ever going to remember. For once, it seems like, and I said it at this, you can go and watch episode 1 of this season. You can go back and look at it. I said the Toronto Maple Leafs this season are going to have a worse season record. They're still going to make the playoffs. They're going to fall a little lower than they're normally at. They're going to have a worse season, and that is because they are building a team for the playoffs. Now, pickups like Joel Edmondson, pickups like Ilya Lyubushkin, pickups like Ty Domi, Max Domi, pickups like Jake McCabe, like guys like this are guys the Leafs never had. And what I mean by that is, I am not saying by any means that these guys are like superstar-studded players, like at all. But as you guys saw in the playoffs last year, unfortunately, at a certain point, the refs can't call everything. You saw it with the Panthers, and they played it, and kudos to them. Kudos to them. They played it to a T. Last year, the only bugger we had on our team was Michael Bunting, the only one. So if the officiating was able to lock down on Bunting, the Leafs had nothing left. Now, this year, there's Tyler Bertuzzi, who's annoying. There's Max Domi, that's annoying. There's Simon Benoit, that's annoying. There's Jake McCabe, that's annoying. There's Joel Edmondson, that's going to cross-check you in the face and won't get suspended. There's like, and I won't even include Reeves in that because, quite frankly, I just don't think he should play. I really don't think. That's my opinion, but we'll leave it at that. The point is that this team seems, again, the style of team, in terms of the acquisitions they went to go and get throughout the summer and at the trade deadline, are not the flashy type. They're not the type of guys who are going to score highlight reel goals. Matter of fact, they're probably not even guys who on a regular basis are even that good. That's the truth for most of them. But in the NHL playoffs, for some reason, that nobody can explain, the rules change. Why? I don't know. They're just the season rules and the playoff rules are just not the same. Is it written anywhere? Absolutely not. Does myself and every single other person who watches the playoffs know that the refs put away the whistles? Yes. It's like an unwritten rule. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. It's just the way that it is. I don't know how. I think it's complete bullshit. I think the rules should stay the same. They are literally the same, but everyone knows they're not called the same. Like the penalty calls will literally vary from period 1, period 2, and period 3 in the playoffs. Like if it's the third period, there's 5 minutes left, it's a close game. They're letting pretty much 90% of any infraction slide. It's the matter of that's just what it is. So the point I'm trying to make is we got these types of guys who the refs can't call everything in the playoffs. They just can't. And the fact that we went to go and get guys like look, Edmondson, the only picture that I've been sent once we got this trade was the cross check he made on Simmons when we played the Habs back then, which I never want to talk about again. So all this to say, back to what I was saying about the Leafs and the Bruins, I want to have an opportunity to slay the demon. And if we don't slay the demon, we were never supposed to be there in the first place. That's what I mean when I say I want Boston. I'm not saying I want Boston because I think it's a write-off, it's a guaranteed win. Not at all. Not at all. The odds are not even in our favor. If history repeats itself, the odds are beyond our favors. It's not even close. It's definitely not on our side. However, at a certain point, you have to just find a way. And like the Capitals did, they lost to the Penguins and they lost to the Penguins and they lost to the Penguins and they lost to the Penguins. And then they beat the Penguins and something special happened. They're like, wait, why not us? And then they went on a run and they won the Stanley Cup. You lost to the Bruins and you lost to the Bruins and you lost to the Bruins. And then you did something special and you beat the Bruins. Now what? That's why I want the Bruins. That is why I want the Boston Bruins. And it's going to be a tight series no matter who. There's not even a point to me anymore of going like line by line and player by player and goalie by goalie. This, I think, is just going to be another dogfight between these two. Again, it's not even guaranteed that we're getting the Bruins. It's really looking that way. So I'm just preparing myself, if you want to call it. But I really think that this is, if the Leafs end up playing the Bruins, is it a guaranteed win? Absolutely not. Do I think we can beat the Bruins? Yes. I do think we can beat the Bruins. And I'm not saying that it's a guarantee by any means. It's going to be probably one of the hardest series to win. But if the Leafs end up somehow coming away with that win, I just don't see there's like what more is there to stress? You're not the favorite, so you don't got that pressure on you. You would get out of the first round hypothetically if you beat the Bruins, so that joke's over. You slayed the demon, the team that's been haunting you for the last decade. That's out the picture. So it's like, what's stopping you now? You know what I mean? That's really why I want to play the Bruins. It's not because it's a guarantee by any means. It is simply because I truly believe in slaying the demon. I really, really believe that. And the only thing I can think of is when the Capitals did it to the Penguins, and then they made a run that year. Were they ever good again after that? Not really. But they won a cup. That's what we want here. I don't care about one round. I don't care about 2 rounds. I don't care about leading the season in goals. It's awesome. Trust me, I love it. But I don't care about it. It's not what we're here for. I don't care who scored. I don't care who set it up. I don't care who killed the penalty. Did we win 4 games before the other team did? And did we make a run? And did we win the cup? At the end of the day, that's what it's going to be about. You can talk about 2013, 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, look, we won a round last year. Don't care. It's already behind us. We lost. We got smacked by the Panthers. We got smacked. So it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, every single team here has a goal, and it's to win the cup. And I think if there's any realm of possibility where the Leafs do it, it has to start with them taking out the team that has caused them torture for the last 10 years. Because if not, again, You either beat the Bruins and slay the dragon, or you lose to them and you were never supposed to be there in the first place, and you can save everyone the time. That's how I look at that. And I think it's going to be interesting. I won't get into any of that because, again, there's still like 15 games to go, and we might not even make the playoffs because of my pessimism. But if everything goes normally and the sky doesn't start falling, the Leafs should make the playoffs, and it's looking like it's going to be the Bruins, and it's going to be very interesting. I don't even know the direction we took in this. Look, at the end of the day, I, along with many other fans, at this point in the season, we don't care about game to game in the season. We just don't. We would like the wins. At this point, like, we don't care. We're starting to prepare for the games that actually matter, and that's the playoffs. And that's what this was about. Like, notice how I didn't really care about when I was talking about the Leafs Habs game. It was more of like, whatever. We got the points, whatever. Because it's not what it's about. It's about winning it when it counts, and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But for now, we do have the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow, and the Leafs do not have Marner. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond. John Tortorella is not there for the Flyers either, which is a story within itself. I side with Torts, by the way, before, if anyone was wondering. 2-game suspension for a coach, like, for what? What a stupid league. Anyways, guys, I just want to thank you very much if you've gotten this far. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, share it to a friend, do whatever it is you got to do. The fun part of the NHL season is slowly creeping up on us, and we'll be here the entire way. That is it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see y'all in the next one. The Leafs, let's get it done, baby. Peace out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with That Leafs Fan on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.